I didn't understand, because I was like, and this is romance, like, no, even more no, okay, no. What's up, everyone? I hope you're doing well. I don't know about people in the States, but I know people in Korea have started college and all that, so I hope your guys' semester will go well and that we can go through this together, because I am also so nervous. It technically started today, the day I'm filming, but for me, my classes start tomorrow. But yes, we can do it. Anyways, this video is gonna be a what I read in February plus January, because I have tried so many times to film what I read in January, but it just kept like not working out somehow, and I just gave up. Basically. Whew. I gave up basically, but then I do still want to talk a little bit about what I read, because there is one book that I have been constantly trying to recommend in like my Bookstagram, but also every time I filmed what I read in January, I kept trying to recommend it, but then it's just blah blah blah. But yeah, so that, what else? Oh, also the January ones, I can't really remember exactly what books I read. Like, I think I got them all, but the summaries or reviews are gonna be super short, but my Goodreads has more of a in-depth review that I had originally said in my first few times filming it. So if you do want to know more, you can check it out in the description box below. But let's get started. So super quickly, I'm gonna do what I read in January, and I think I'll try to go through like lowest rating to highest. So my first book, I think was a 2 stars, was The Girls in the Garden by Jewell, and I rated that 2 stars because it was super slow. Like, for a mystery novel, nothing super, like, nothing really pushed the plot. Like, a good 2/3 of the book was to build up characterization of the characters plus the community itself and the park, and then the last part is like where it really picked up and all that. But it was just disappointing. Like, in short, just to like say, it was just disappointing. I did like the way she wrote the atmosphere though. Like, she was really able to capture a sense of unease, and also some weird, like, you're feeling disgusted but you're not absolutely sure why. So I thought she did well on that part, but overall the story was just too slow. It was too long, it was boring, it was disappointing in terms of what actually happened. And yeah, so that was The Girls in the Garden by Jewell. And then my third, and another book I read was The Midnight Library. Oh shoot, another book I read was The Midnight Library. It's wrapped because it's part of a book exchange. I gave this a 3 stars because I can like appreciate what maybe the book was trying to convey, like the message and all that, but it just didn't feel like it was for me. It was hard to relate to the main character for several different reasons, and it just felt a little too cheesy sometimes, and the message was delivered a little too many times from my personal opinion. But I can see that maybe some people would, like others would, end up enjoying the message this book has, or just having fun reading it. But yeah, 3 stars, very neutral, not for me. And then 4-star books, I have this. Oh wait, let's do this one through while I've been filming. Was 3.5, then it went to 4, then it went to like 3.5. Like, so it's a like in between the two, but it's Jade Fire Gold by Jun CL Tan. And I think if I had to say, I would say 3.5 stars the first 2 parts of the book, and then 4 stars for like the last few chapters. So basically more on the 3.5 side, because it felt a very shallow read in a sense. I feel like this could have been so much better if it was a duology, because the world building had so much potential, like especially the politics. I was actually really interested in the politics of this book, and I was really disappointed we couldn't have more focus and development and like political drama and tension, like of in-court politics and all that. So this book had a lot of potential. I felt like it was too short to really delve into the potential. But I feel like if you're a beginner to fantasy, or if you're getting back into reading and you want to pick up a YA fantasy again, this is a good start, because it's easy to understand like what's going on. Nothing's too complicated or anything like that. I will say, they said it was a slow burn romance. I honestly feel like that's not the case. Like, I think if the two characters had managed to stay together for longer, it would have been like attraction, because they already had, the minute they met, they already had some sort of weird attraction and like interest in each other going on. So then that like made me really confused of what counts as a slow burn. But in this case I don't think that would be a slow burn, because if you think about it, the only reason it didn't happen right that time was because they were separated, because of like they had different things going on and they didn't know each other at the time. But literally just because of that, I think is why it's slow burn, because if it wasn't, it would have been like I said, like the romance would have happened just like that. So I don't think it's much of a slow burn as the book is saying, but that's just to my opinion. Okay. And also, January I read 7 books. February I only read 3. But yeah. But there is an accomplishment in February that I will be saying. So then for my next, I think my last 4-star book, it is The Sundown Motel by Simone St. James. I gave this a 4-star because I read her other book first, The Broken Girls, and I absolutely loved that book. It was so good, 5 out of 5. And it's hard not to compare books by the same author, but in this case I feel like it was valid. So this was not as good as The Broken Girls, because one thing okay, so this book is dual POV in different timelines. One of them is 1982 with Viv, and the other is 2017 with Carly. Carly was just so hard to read because she was so cringy. Like, I don't know how else to say it, but it was just so cringy. And look, I've had to read this paragraph out many times. I still can't get over it. Okay. I was shocked that the author wrote something like this, but it was peak I'm not like other girls, and I can't handle it. Just knowing I have to read it again. Bear with me, please.
Okay. I've been a nerd all my life. My nose buried in a book. Except that once I graduated from reading The Black Stallion, the books I read were the dark kind. About scary things like disappearances and murders, especially the true ones. While other kids read J.K. Rowling, I read Stephen King. While other kids did history reports about the Civil War, I read about Lizzie Borden. The report I wrote about that one, complete with details about exactly where the axe hit Lizzie's father and stepmother, got my teacher to call my mother with concern. Is Carly alright? My mother had brushed it off, because by then she knew how dark her daughter was. She's fine. She just likes to read about murder, that's all.
I can't. I actually muffled a scream when I read this, and I'm trying so hard not to do it again because my sister's in a meeting, but I don't know how I got past that paragraph. Like, I really don't know how I got past that paragraph. Like, especially since that notion of not being like other girls does not fade away. It does not fade away. Okay, and then they even bring it up to like saying this town is not like other towns, and I was like I can't. It was hard, but the Viv's chapters were really, really good. Like, if it had focused on her, I think it would have been a 5 stars, because she actually went through like actions. She went after the mystery, and she encountered like all these tense and scary situations, whereas Carly's point of view, like, they say they were doing something, but it never really seemed to have happened. Like, they never really showed it happening. And this is like one of the books where I'm actually picking up what people mean when they say it, like, to tell less and to show more. Like, this book would just say they did it, and then you're like, but then all at the same time, nothing really seems to have happened. So that was the case, but as always, like, she's really good at writing at setting the mood and the atmosphere of the place. Like, she's really good at, especially when it comes to like dark, abandoned, kind of gloomy areas. So it was good. It's just Carly's chapters were not it for me. But yeah. And then for the 5-star books that I've read, so one is The Man Who Died Twice by Richard Osman, and I absolutely love this book. I didn't read the first one of the Thursday Murder Club, but like, you actually don't need to read the first one. Thankfully, I don't think they spoil what happens in the first book in this book, and then there's only like other than the 4 main characters, there's only one character that appears in here that I think appeared first in the first book, where they don't really explain the character. They just like drop him in here because, you know, they expect you to know. Other than that, you can totally read this without reading the first book, I'm absolutely sure. I love the characters. Like, the Richard Osman did a really great job with characterization and just like giving them their distinct personalities and like making you root for each one and stuff like that. And like, he actually made me like an antagonist in this story. Like, normally I just don't really, because but then this one, there was like this one scene where I was like, oh, I hate to say it, but I'm kind of rooting for this guy. Like, I actually like him and all that stuff. And then the plot, okay, this book made me understand just how good red herrings can be, like just how effective red herrings can be to the plot, because the red herrings he dropped were so logical and like subtle enough that you're like, I think this is definitely where the story's going. But then like the plot twists are huge, but it also still makes sense. Like, oh my gosh, how did I miss that? So the characters are like super fun. I loved all of them. The plot was amazing. I just feel like it was a little too long sometimes, that I did get bored at a few moments. But like, overall, it was just an amazing story. So highly recommend. And now for the final book of January that I have been wanting to recommend forever, and that I think one YouTube comment said sounded really nice. So I'll put, if I remember, hopefully I'll put like a screenshot of the comment somewhere. But it is Lemon by Kwon Yeo-Sun, and oh, it's so good. I think it's gonna stay one of my top 2022 books. One of my top books of 2022, because Jinchi, it's so good. Okay, one thing why I'm saying it's so good is because one reason is because I'm so impressed at how well this story was written in only 147 pages. Like, it is insane. And the thing I love about this book is how while you're reading it, you're a little confused because while it's chronologically in order, it seems like events out of order. But then the reveal at the end, everything like clicks and comes together, and then your realization at what like probably happened is crazy. So why I said probably, because the author doesn't really confirm anything, or like, so it's like very heavily implied, but what it's implying is just insane. Like, I actually gasped out loud when I like connected the dots and when realization hit me, and I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, ugh, is that really what happened? Like, in under 147 pages, people, please read this book. It is so good, and I feel like this is really good for a fast read or like a reading slump, because first of all, it's like mystery, so you have a bit of a thrill reading it, and then it's short. Like I've been saying, 147 pages. You can read this in like an hour and a half. Amazing. Like the theory I came up with, I feel like I'm like 90% sure I'm right, but it's still so insane to think about it. So yes, to the person who commented this about Lemon, please read it. It was so good. Amazing. But yeah, and I would not have complained if this book was longer, because it was already good enough, but I would not have minded like a in-depth psychological exploration of the characters, especially the main character, because she seemed very realistic, and that I think a lot of people, and from like my experiences, a lot of Korean people go through or like struggle with in terms of self-image and like family relationships and all that. So it felt like a really realistic character. And I will say though, while I'm saying this now, there was this one character that I'm not sure exactly why she was written in the book. Like, I don't know if she had something to do with what happened, or if it was just to like provide an outsider point of view. But so good. Please read it. Of all the books here, please at least read this one and like maybe another one or two. But Lemon, please read it. I tried keeping it short, but it didn't work out so well. It's like 18 minutes in. But now I am going to talk about what I read in February. And like I said, I only read 3 books in February. It was really bad because I had a weird slump. I just couldn't pick up a book and like read it to the end. I started like so many books, but getting to the middle of each book was just not happening, until I like buckled down and I was like, you know what, I'm filming a reading vlog, and mixed match paper, I picked up Ivory Key. I read it. Let me see. Good, but also really bad decision, because this book stressed me out like no other book has recently, and that was the reason why I almost couldn't finish the book at all. It took me so long to read it. But yeah, The Ivory Key by Akshaya Raman, and I rated this 4.5 out of 5. It was really good, as stressful as it was, but I can't remember why I took out 0.5 because it's been a while. Oh, I think my Goodreads probably says more, but one thing I know for sure is that they said this is kind of like the original's sibling dynamic with Indiana Jones, like other adventure treasure hunt popular culture. I just remember Indiana Jones because of all the ones they mentioned. That's the only one I watched. But I was really disappointed at the treasure hunt aspect because it wasn't really there. Like, when you think of Indiana Jones, you think of all the puzzles he's had to solve, or the riddles, or like the traps and all that. There was really only one puzzle, and the puzzle was just not that fun to read about because, one, it was math. I hate math. I'm bad at it. 2, it was just not described that well, because they like, so when it comes to a puzzle like that, and as a reader who knows nothing about it, you want to read the process, or like what the mechanism behind it is and all that. But this one was like very what's the word when you just smoothed over, like passed by, glided over, you know what I mean? Like it was just very shoop, because the siblings like knew what the puzzle was because their dad had told them, but because they knew it, they weren't, even though they knew it, they weren't explaining it to us, and they basically mumbled the explanations by. So it's kind of like, so what just happened? Like, what kind of puzzle was this? So that was really disappointing. And then there was like really only one trap, and then I just felt very underwhelming when they reached the city where the treasure and everything was. It just didn't feel like a treasure hunt. It was too fast, it was disappointing and stuff like that. And it was only like a very short part of the book. So that part was like, disappointing and not as well delivered as I expected. Okay, so I never watched the originals, but I can say for sure these siblings have such dysfunctional relationship. This is why it stressed me the F out, okay? Because I'm not gonna say, well, I spoiled it, but in case you're watching this and not the reading vlog, like they are just doing so many things behind each other's backs, especially 2 of the 4 siblings, and I'm just so stressed as to how the second book is gonna follow. And then a plot twist, I was like hoping that wouldn't happen, but it happened. Okay, anyways, if you're okay with a stressful read, or if I'm just easily stressed, do read this book. It is really good. The characters are fun. The description of the world and like the street markets and the kingdom and all that is very well written. It's very descriptive, it's very vivid. But I will say, like, from me, this is like my opinion, don't expect an amazing treasure hunt. Oh, I also want to say I really like the way she wrote the jungle scene. Like the jungle scene was really well. I could just feel the gross humidity on me. Oh, but anyways, I really like the way she wrote the jungle scene. But like, coming from me, I'm saying this, but don't expect that much of a treasure hunt. It was not that long. I just, maybe because the puzzle was so underwhelming, I didn't feel like the rest was like living up to the hype or to the whatever. But yeah, 4.5 out of 5. It was still really good. I am really looking forward to the duology because I do want to know what happens next with like with how it ended. But yeah, so the Ivory Key, and then I read this one first. This one I'll go in order of like when I read it, and then this one I'm actually very happy I read it. I did not expect that I would like it as much as I did, and it is Year of the Reaper. I don't know how to pronounce the author's name, so I'm just gonna pronounce it the best I can, but Makiia Lucier. And so good. I was actually really impressed by the way the author used the plague in the story to like tie it in with the whole plot and everything like that. One thing now I realize is, so the main character, this isn't a spoiler, the main character got the plague, but he like got better from it, like he recovered. And I guess sometimes some things can just be throwaway details, but I really thought that was gonna come back into play, but nothing really ever brought that happened. But anyways, back to the main thing. So let's see if I can summarize it. So the main character Cass, he disappeared 3 years before a war ended between the Oliveras and the
let's see, what is it in the other country?
So there's a war between 2 kingdoms, the Oliveras and the Brisa. Riza. And so they had a marriage treaty marriage, but they had a marriage, political marriage, that was basically a peace treaty between the two kingdoms. And then a year after the war ended, Cass comes back from wherever he had disappeared to. Turns out he was in a prison during the war, and he was the only Oliveran there, so he was like obviously not that well treated. And for some reason he can see ghosts. That never really played an important part as far as I know, so I don't really understand this aspect, but he can see ghosts. He comes back home, and then he, like, it's actually pretty bad. Like, the plague has hit really hard in the kingdom, so the royal family moved to his house, to like his, I don't think I said that very well, but I'm not good at that, but you know, let's continue. But I really enjoyed this book. This is a really fun short book to read that I actually think I would recommend this over Jade Fire Gold for a standalone fantasy, because it's short but it does feel very complete. And I love Cass, okay? I absolutely love him. And it's crazy because it's been so long since I've like fallen in love with a character, like a book character, even more so like the main character. And it's just like such a nice feeling to like go through that again. But I love Cass. He is, I love him. He's like a low-key sad boy, but he's got a good heart. He's like strong, he's kind, he's very cool at fighting and stuff like that. He's very capable. So yeah, I love the main character. I love the other characters and the emotions this book put me through. I did not deserve it. I did not deserve it. And also, I had guessed this plot twist, but when it happened, I still gasped out loud. I was like, I can't believe I was right. But yeah, I do also highly recommend this book. And such a good book. Such a good book. I loved it. I enjoyed it a lot. Definitely gonna reread it later. Yeah. Year of the Reaper. And then finally, my last book that I read in February. I'm very proud that I read it because I have been reading it. I had been reading it, but I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna finish this before February. But then like, what day is it today? Today's Wednesday. So on Monday, the 28th, I was like, no, I'm going to finish this book before February ends so I can count it. And then I did. So, point to me. But I read, let me just take this out super quick so it doesn't fall over. My voice is kind of starting to give up on me a little bit, so please bear with me. But I read Daughter of the Moongoddess by Su-Lin Tan. Oh wow, the lighting makes the flowers look really pretty there. Wait a minute. So I read Daughter of the Moongoddess by Su-Lin Tan. And so this book has, look how much I tapped. But this book has 3 parts. I rated part 1 and 2 3.5 out of 5, and then part 3 4 out of 5. And hopefully you watched my reading vlog, because I think that one actually turned out pretty well. But on the chance you didn't, let's see. Part 1 and 2, I was pretty bored. I am not gonna lie. I was getting sad because this was one of my anticipated reads of 2022. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so upset that I'm not liking it as much as I was hoping. And oh, also, before I continue, by the way, the reading vlog is part of a series I'm planning on doing this year, in which I do a series of reading vlogs in which I read my most anticipated reads of 2022 back. So anyways, I was getting really upset because I was like, I was looking forward to this so badly, and the fact that it wasn't living up to what I had hoped was really disappointing, and let me tell you why. Okay, so let me just buckle in here. The first thing was, it was so long, and for what? For what? I feel like, and the reason why I'm saying for what is because so many things are happening at the same time. Literally nothing was happening. Okay, there were so many time skips, but like, why was it still so long? And I felt like the time skips were kind of important because, okay, so that was one issue I had. It was like so long, and for what? Because I felt like the things we were given details to were kind of minor things that didn't really contribute much to the story, and all like the mini scenes and stuff like that. And then along with that, the relationship, the romance. Okay, I have to talk about the romance because it was just not that good. Okay, like, I feel really bad for saying this, but it really was not that good. And I feel like this is coming from me who hasn't read it in forever, and like literature analysis, what's that? But like, this is also coming from me, from somebody who loves fluffy fanfiction, okay? But the romance was not that good, because the biggest problem I had with the romance was the development between the characters. Like they would say the male leads liked her, but I'd be like, why? Or why do they like her? And okay, so the book is told solely through her point of view, which makes sense why we can't find out why they like her. Or like, even when they were giving the reasons, I didn't understand, because I was like, but even that's a bit more reasonable, because obviously we're not inside their heads. We don't know what they're thinking and all that. And the main character doesn't seem to be very observant, or at the very least she doesn't believe in it, so she kind of ignores it, which, you know. But it's the problem is when it comes to her liking them as well. Okay, them liking her and me not getting it, I get that. I can get why, you know, it's only her point of view. What is she gonna pick up? But her liking them, no. Like, why does she like them? I just could not get that at all. Because, okay, the prince has more details on why she ended up liking him, but not enough to, like, I can confidently say this is love and this is romance. Like, no. And then the captain, no. Even more no, okay? No. Because she, like, for a good half of the development of the relationship, what I'm assuming was the development, she just thought he was striking. But then the minute she realizes he's handsome, it's like the minute she realizes he's handsome, she's like, I love him. And I think they tried to, like, make it seem as if while she was unaware of her feelings, the feelings were still happening, but that just did not work. It just did not deliver the way I think she intended it to. And I'm so annoyed at how the romance developed from, like, you know what I mean? Okay, but part 3 develops a lot better, but I'll get to that later. And a lot of the time it just made me question, like, why? Like, why was she chosen? Why is she so physically capable? So part 3 was really, really good because it started off super tense. It was like the climax of the whole book, basically. And, like, huge emotional journey. And the action scenes just got so much better. They were so vivid, so descriptive. And I don't know, the action scenes in part 3 were just chef's kiss. And then by this point, even though I've learned, I was still questioning, like, why do they like her? I still I kind of, like, just set that aside, and I just kind of just started to appreciate it, because at this point the male leads were getting, like, very competitive over her, and, like, the captain was already kind of like the dark bad boy type, I guess, but then the prince, who was like the good boy, polite and stuff, also kind of started becoming like a bit darker, which I really liked, and I am so excited for the drama that's gonna come in the second book. Is my voice cracking? And I am so excited. I'm kind of wondering if the people in my sister's meeting can hear me, because I feel like I'm talking pretty loudly, but I feel like she would have said something. I don't know. Hopefully not. But as I was saying, I am so excited for the romantic drama that's gonna happen in part 2, because I want more of that. But yeah, and just the way the plot progressed was just so freaking good. Okay, of all the plot twists I was thinking of, I did not expect the one that happened to happen. If you watch my reading vlog, I gasped. I was so shocked. But yeah, I was so shocked. And the thing is, I feel like this book actually ended really nicely, in that even as open-ended-ish it was, it doesn't really need a sequel. Like, I feel like this could have been a standalone on its own. Like, the ending was really nice, which I guess should be making me worried about how the second book is gonna be. Anyways, it ended really nicely, and I'm very looking forward to the drama in the second book. But yeah, 3.5 for the first 2 parts, 4 stars for the last part. It was a bit chunky to get through, but I recommended this to a friend because I did want to see what she thought about it. Hopefully she reads it and then we can talk about it. But yeah, this was the final book I read for February. Ta-da! Oof. So yeah, that is what I read for January and February. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know how your guys' reading months went. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else to say. Oh, and I will be filming the thing for Koreathon. I'm actually very excited to do it. And yeah, thanks for watching.